The twin suns of Novaterra burned low in the evening sky. Long shadows stretched over the wide dust road that led to the small outer settlements. Along this road, a young girl named Mira walked slowly. Her clothes were old but clean. Her hands were rough from work, but her eyes were calm. She carried a small tool bag on her shoulder. Every day, Mira repaired old machines for people who could not afford new ones. She earned just enough to buy food and water. Suddenly, her sharp eyes caught something strange ahead. A black grav car stood still at the side of the road. It was an expensive machine, much too rich for these poor lands. Mira slowed down, watching carefully. People like her usually stayed away from trouble, but her heart was kind. She saw a man standing beside the car, looking frustrated. His clothes looked simple, but something about him seemed different. Without thinking much, Mira stepped forward. "Car broken?" she asked, her voice soft but direct. The man turned, surprised. He looked at Mira and for a moment said nothing. Then he nodded once. "Yes, power rotor dead." Mira looked at the grav car. She had never seen such a fine machine up close. Still, machines were machines. They all broke the same way. "Can try to fix it," she said, putting her bag down. The man hesitated. In truth, he was not just any traveler. His name was Darren, and he was a secret millionaire. He owned several companies that made grav cars just like the one she was now touching. But he wore a special stealth jacket that hid his face and identity from drones and scanners. He was traveling quietly across Novaterra to inspect colonies himself, far from the eyes of media and business partners. Darren looked at Mira. Her hair was tied back in a simple way. Her hands were marked with oil stains. She looked young, maybe 20. He didn't want help, but something in her honest eyes made him say, "Fine, go ahead." Mira knelt by the power rotor. Her fingers moved fast, her mind working faster. She used simple tools, nothing advanced, yet her hands showed experience. Darren watched silently as the girl checked wires, cleaned the dust filters, and adjusted the energy lines with care. She asked for nothing, not even his name. After half an hour, the grav car hummed back to life. The soft blue glow under its body told Darren that the power rotor was now working perfectly. Mira stood up, wiping sweat from her forehead. "It's done. You can drive now." Darren looked at her, still silent. Finally, he reached into his jacket and took out a few silver credits. "Take this." But Mira shook her head. "I didn't help for money." Darren was confused. He had met many people, rich and poor, but none refused credits. Mira just picked up her small bag and stepped away. "You should reach the city before night. Road gets unsafe." With that, she started walking again. Darren stood there, holding the credits in his hand, watching her go. He felt strange. In his world, people smiled for money. People helped for favors. But this girl, she helped for nothing. He watched her small figure disappear into the horizon, her steps steady, her heart full of quiet strength. For the first time in years, Darren felt curious about someone. And so, the story of the poor girl and the hidden millionaire began on a simple dust road under Novaterra's twin suns. 2 days passed since the dust road meeting. Mira thought little about the rich grav car or its owner. For her, helping people was normal. Life was hard on Novaterra. People helped when they could. She continued her simple life, repairing broken farm bots and cooling fans in her small workshop at the edge of the town. But far away, Darren could not forget her. He sat inside his company tower, looking out over the glowing city. Tall buildings, flying cars, bright neon lights, everything felt cold to him now. The people he met daily only cared about profits, meetings, and deals. No one smiled without reason. No one helped without payment, but Mira had helped him. For nothing. Darren's mind kept replaying her calm voice, her strong hands, her steady walk. Finally, he decided to see her again. He left the tower alone, wearing simple clothes and his stealth jacket once more. But this time, he did not break down on a dust road. He drove straight to Myra's small workshop. It was nothing like his corporate factories. Her shop was made of old metal sheets and broken parts. Dust blew in through the open door. But inside, he saw life, machines being fixed, children watching her work, old men bringing small engines for repair. Mira looked up, surprised. She recognized him at once. "You again?" she asked. Darren nodded. "I need help." Mira wiped her hands and stood. "Car broken again?" Darren shook his head. "Other machines. Can you service my small transport bots?" Mira thought for a moment. "Maybe, bring them here." Darren smiled slightly. "Too big to bring. You can come to my small warehouse." She hesitated. She didn't trust rich city people much. But his face looked honest, simple. "Fine," she said. Darren led her to a storage area at the edge of the town. He had sent some older company bots there to make it look like a simple worker's warehouse. Mira, seeing the bots, quickly got to work. Again, her hands moved fast, fixing power lines, cleaning dirt, adjusting circuits. While she worked, Darren watched her. He asked simple questions. "Where did you learn repairs?" "My father taught me," Mira replied softly. "He's not here. He died last year. I'm sorry." Mira only nodded and kept working. Darren felt strange. He had spent his life in cities, among powerful people, but this small workshop girl made him feel human. For the next few days, Darren kept visiting her shop. Sometimes with small machines to repair, sometimes just with questions. Mira noticed him, but said little. She didn't care about city people's stories. One day, while Mira was fixing a cooling unit, Darren asked, "Why did you help me that night?" "You didn't know me." Mira looked at him and said simply, "You looked like you needed help." Darren smiled slowly. No hidden meaning, no business deal. Just kindness. As the days passed, Mira grew used to seeing the quiet man in simple clothes. He paid fairly but never offered too much money. He asked nothing from her except her time. Darren, the secret millionaire, found peace sitting in Mira's dusty workshop. But he kept his true identity hidden. He knew if she found out who he really was, things might change. And for the first time, he didn't want someone to see him as a rich man. He wanted Mira to see him as just Darren. Days turned into weeks, and Mira kept busy in her small workshop. She had no idea that the quiet man she helped was actually Darren, one of the richest men on Novaterra. To her, he was just another worker needing help. But to Darren, every visit to Myra's workshop felt different. Her simple life, honest work, and quiet smile made him feel calm. In the city, people treated him like a machine, someone who could only make money. But Mira saw none of that. She saw only a person. One morning, Darren stood outside her workshop, waiting. Mira opened the door, surprised. "You again?" Darren nodded. "I need help." Mira crossed her arms. "What now?" Darren pointed at a small transport truck behind him. "Company bots, they're failing. I need a good mechanic." Mira looked at the bots sitting on the truck. "Bring them inside." Darren shook his head. "No space." "Can you come to the main warehouse?" Mira frowned. "I don't leave my shop." "I'll pay." Mira paused. She didn't want to go into the city. Rich places made her feel like she didn't belong. But work was work, and she needed money for parts. After a moment, she agreed. "Fine, but only for one day." Darren smiled softly. "Good." That afternoon, Darren took Mira to one of his smaller company warehouses near the city's edge. Mira looked around at the large machines and sleek bots, feeling small. But when it came to machines, she felt no fear. She opened her tool bag and started working. While she worked, Darren sat nearby watching. She asked him nothing about his life. She spoke only about the work. Darren liked that dot as Mira fixed the bots. Darren thought about something. He didn't just want to see her at the workshop. He wanted to know more. He wanted her in his world, not as a worker, but as someone he respected. After some time, Darren finally said, "You work alone?" Mira nodded. "Yes, my father used to help. Now I manage. You fix everything by hand?" "Yes." Darren paused. "You're wasting your talent." Mira looked at him, confused. "What do you mean?" "You could work for a big company." Mira shook her head. "I don't like cities. I don't like rich people." Darren's heart sank a little. "But why?" He asked softly. "People like me don't belong in those places. I fix things. I don't belong in shiny towers." Darren looked down. She didn't know he lived in those towers. "But not everyone in the city is bad," he said carefully. "Maybe," Mira answered. "But I trust machines more than people." Darren smiled. "That's fair." After a long pause, Darren said quietly, "I want to offer you something." Mira stopped working. "What?" "I have more machines, more work. You could help me. More often, not as a worker, as a partner." Mira's eyes narrowed. "Partner?" Darren nodded. "We can fix things together. You don't need to work alone." Mira didn't know what to say. In her life, no one had ever offered such a thing. She looked at the simple man before her. She didn't know he owned entire cities. She only saw someone quiet, kind, and honest. "Why me?" she asked. Darren's answer was simple. "Because you didn't help me for money." For the first time, Mira felt something strange in her heart. A quiet feeling she didn't understand. She looked down. "I'll think about it." Darren nodded. "Take your time." That evening, Darren drove her back to the workshop. Mira watched the city lights disappear behind them. She felt confused. She had spent years alone. But now, someone wanted her to be part of something bigger. And she didn't know what scared her more, the offer itself, or the quiet hope growing inside her. Darren watched her silently. He didn't rush her, because deep inside, he knew. Mira was the only person who ever made him feel human, and he didn't want to lose that. In the following days, Mira could not stop thinking about Darren's offer. She kept working in her small workshop, fixing broken farm bots and cooling fans, but her heart felt different. Darren's words kept echoing in her mind. "You don't need to work alone." No one had ever said such words to her before. Darren, too, felt strange. Every day, he thought about Mira's simple smile and honest nature. He had met many people in his life, rich businessmen, clever engineers, important leaders, but none had touched his heart like this poor girl who asked for nothing. So the next morning, Darren returned to Mira's workshop. Mira looked up from a broken fan motor. "Again?" she asked softly. Darren smiled. "I like watching you work." Mira raised her eyebrows. "Rich people watch work. Poor people do it." Darren said nothing. He just sat nearby, watching her skilled hands move. Mira worked quietly. But slowly, she grew used to his presence. It felt strange but comfortable. Over the next week, Darren visited every day. Sometimes he brought small machines for Mira to fix. Sometimes he brought food from the city market, though Mira never asked for it. At first, she refused the meals, but after some time, she accepted them silently. One evening, as the twin suns of Nova Terra began to set, Mira and Darren sat outside the workshop. The air was cooler, and the orange sky glowed softly. Mira finally broke the silence. "Why do you come here, Darren?" Darren looked at her. "I like this place. It's just dust and broken machines." He smiled slightly. "It feels honest." Mira looked away. "Machines don't lie, people do." Darren's smile faded. He understood those words. In his world, people always wore fake smiles and spoke hidden words. Mira's simple honesty felt pure. He asked softly, "Do you trust me, Mira?" Mira didn't answer quickly. Then she said, "I don't know." Darren respected her answer. He didn't push. After some time, Mira looked at him. "Why did you offer me that work? You can hire any worker in the city." Darren answered honestly. "Because I don't want a worker. I want someone who believes in helping, not just earning." Mira thought about that. No one had ever said such a thing to her. "But I'm just a simple girl," she said. Darren shook his head. "No, you're not." For a moment, Mira felt her heart skip. She quickly looked away. That night, after Darren left, Mira sat alone in her workshop, thinking. She remembered her father's words long ago. "One day, someone will see your worth, not your clothes." She never believed that day would come, but maybe. It had. In the city, Darren looked out from his tall tower. His assistants reported company news, profits, and market data. But Darren heard none of it. His mind was full of Mira's quiet voice and strong hands. He knew he was in trouble. He, a man worth millions, was falling for a girl who thought he was just a poor traveler. And for the first time in his life, he didn't care about wealth. He cared about her. For days, Mira kept working in her workshop. But now, every day felt different. She waited quietly for Darren to visit, though she never said it aloud. His presence made her small world feel warmer. She didn't understand why. Darren, too, kept coming back. He told himself it was just for business. But deep inside, he knew the truth. He wanted to see Mira. She was the only person who looked at him like a normal man. But Darren also carried a secret. One evening, while Mira fixed a broken cooling bot, loud sounds came from the town's main road. People were shouting. Mira ran outside. Dust clouds filled the air. A group of city patrol bots entered the town, their lights flashing. Behind them came dark city trucks. Mira's heart sank. In her town, when city patrols came, it meant trouble. Then she saw something that shocked her, from one of the black trucks. Darren stepped out, but he didn't wear simple clothes now. He wore a city suit, clean and sharp. His face was no longer hidden by the stealth jacket. People looked at him with fear and respect. Drones hovered above him, capturing his image. People whispered his name. Mira stood frozen. Darren Avayan. She couldn't believe her eyes. The man she thought was a simple traveler was one of the richest and most powerful men on Nova Terra. Darren's eyes searched the crowd until they found Mira. He saw the shock in her face. He took a step toward her, but Mira stepped back. She felt betrayed. Without a word, she turned and ran back to her workshop. Darren's heart ached. He wanted to explain, but Mira was gone. His guards came near. "Sir, the area is unsafe." Darren shook his head. "I don't care." The guards looked confused. Their rich leader, who once cared about nothing but profits, now looked lost. Back in her workshop, Mira sat on the floor, tears in her eyes. She felt foolish. She had trusted him. She had spoken to him like a friend. But all along, he was hiding. A rich man playing a poor traveler. Her heart felt heavy. She told herself. She didn't care, but her tears told the truth. The next morning, Mira worked in silence. She didn't look up when customers came. She didn't answer when children asked questions. Her world felt empty now. Darren came to her workshop once. She saw him standing outside, but she refused to look at him. He waited. Minutes passed. Finally, he left. Mira told herself it was good, but it hurt more than she expected. For days, Mira avoided the town's main roads. She didn't want to hear people talk about Darren Avayan, the rich man who had fooled her. She thought he would forget her, but far away, in his tall tower, Darren sat in silence. He didn't attend meetings. He didn't answer calls. His workers whispered about their leader, who had suddenly changed. Darren knew one thing. He had lost the only person who treated him like a human, and it was his fault. One evening, standing at his tower's window, Darren whispered to himself, "I never wanted to lie." But he had. And now Mira's silent face haunted him. He promised himself, I'll tell her everything, not as a businessman, not as a rich man, but as myself. As the sun set over Nova Terra, Mira sat alone, her small workshop quiet and cold. She didn't know it yet, but Darren had already decided he would come back, and this time, he wouldn't hide. The days felt long for Mira. Her workshop, once full of noise and life, felt quiet. She worked without speaking. Her heart felt heavy. She didn't understand why the lie hurt so much. She kept telling herself, he was just another rich man. Nothing more. But her heart refused to believe it. Then one morning, Mira heard whispers in the street. People gathered outside her workshop. She stepped out and saw something strange. A long black city car was parked near her small shop, and beside it stood Darren. But this time he wore no city suit. He wore simple clothes, just like before. No guards, no drones, no bodyguards. People watched silently as Darren, one of the richest men on Nova Terra, stood outside a poor girl's workshop. Mira froze. Darren took a step forward. I need to speak with you, he said, his voice soft. Mira's throat felt dry. She didn't answer. I lied about who I was, Darren continued, but I didn't lie about myself. Mira looked down. You're a rich man. I'm just a workshop girl. Why are you here? Darren's voice cracked slightly. Because you're the only person who saw me. Not my money. Mira shook her head. Why should I believe anything now? Darren looked into her eyes. Because I came here alone. Mira hesitated. The crowd whispered, waiting to see what she'd do. Finally, she turned and walked into her workshop, but she didn't close the door. Darren followed silently. Inside, Mira sat on the floor beside her tools. Darren stood near, not too close. He spoke honestly. I wore that jacket to hide from cameras, from people who only cared about money. I met you by accident, but I came back by choice. Mira looked at him slowly. I didn't help you for who you were. I know, Darren said. That's why I came back. There was silence between them. Only the soft hum of broken machines. Mira's voice was soft. I felt like a fool. You weren't. I trusted you. I didn't deserve that trust, Darren whispered. Mira's eyes filled with tears, but she wiped them quickly. Why are you really here now? Darren answered without thinking. Because I miss you. Mira's heart skipped. She looked down. Again, people like you don't need people like me. Darren stepped forward. His voice shook. I need you. Mira felt her walls breaking. Darren took a small breath. I'm not here as Darren Avon, the company owner. I'm here as Darren, the man who felt human again. When he met you. Mira didn't know what to say. Her heart battled her mind. Finally she whispered, What do you want from me? Darren said softly, A chance. Just a chance. To be in your world, even as a helper. For a long time neither spoke. Then Mira said slowly, I don't know. If I can trust you, Darren nodded. Then I'll wait. As long as it takes. Mira looked up at him, her eyes softening. For the first time, she saw no rich man standing before her. She saw a man. Outside, people watched as Darren sat beside Mira. In the dusty old workshop, the city's richest man. Waiting quietly. Not as a leader, not as a millionaire, but as a simple person. In love. The next few days felt different in Mira's small world. She still worked in her workshop, but now, Darren came every morning. He sat quietly, helped her clean tools, or just watched her work. He didn't bring guards or fancy cars. He spoke. Little, but his silence spoke more than his words. Mira didn't understand why she let him stay. Her mind said to push him away. But her heart wanted him near. People in the town whispered. They watched from corners. Some said Darren was playing a game. Others said Mira had caught a rich man's heart. Mira tried to ignore them, but inside, she felt afraid. She didn't belong in his world. She was just a poor girl with broken machines. Then one evening, the worst happened. Mira was returning from the market when she saw black smoke rising above her town. Her heart stopped. She ran as fast as her tired legs could carry her. Her workshop was burning. The old metal walls cracked from the heat. Sparks and flames swallowed her tools, her machines, everything she owned. People tried to throw water, but the fire was too strong. Mira stood frozen, her heart breaking. Her father's tools, her memories, her life's work gone in minutes. She felt weak. Tears rolled down her cheeks. She had nothing left. In the middle of the smoke, a black car stopped. Darren jumped out. He saw the fire. He saw Mira standing there, shaking, her eyes full of pain. Without a word, Darren ran toward the flames. "Darren, stop!" people shouted. But Darren didn't care. He ran inside the burning workshop. Moments later, he came out coughing, holding a small old box in his hands. The only thing he could save. It was Mira's father's toolbox. He dropped to his knees, breathing hard. Mira ran to him. Darren looked up, handing her the box. "I tried to save something." Mira's tears fell as she took the burned box. "Why did you risk your life?" she whispered. "Because this mattered to you," Darren said softly. At that moment, Mira saw the truth. He didn't care about his clothes, his money, or his name. He cared about her. In front of everyone, Mira knelt beside Darren. Her voice broke. "I've lost everything." Darren's answer was simple. "No, you still have me." The people around watched silently. Darren, the richest man of Novaterra, sat in ashes beside a poor girl, offering nothing but his heart. And Mira, for the first time, didn't push him away. She leaned against him, her tears falling. Darren held her gently. The fire burned behind them, but in that moment, Mira knew she wasn't alone anymore.